welcome to the Secret Wealth Project. I'm Matt, hope you're doing all right. So I've got my shorts on, I'm sat in a car park of the designer outlet, which is over there. That's where Holly and Becca sat. We've decided, because there's some rare sunshine in the UK, I don't know if you can see that ball in the sky. I know it's a rare occurrence and it's almost like unbelievable, but there is actually sunshine in the sky for once. So we decided to come to Starbucks at the designer outlet to sit and outside in the sunshine and do some work, which is one of the nice benefits of working for yourself or being a home-based entrepreneur or whatever you want to call us. But it's a nice thing. So, but the problem is, the sun is around the other side of the building, and we didn't think this through very much. It's kind of north-facing where Starbucks is, so where we're sat is actually in the shade. So I've took one for the team. I've said, look, I'll come to the other side of the car park, let you two sit in the slither of sunshine that's just appeared just outside of Starbucks's little seating area. So they kind of sat outside of it, but there's just enough room for 2 chairs. And like the nice guy that I am, I said, you girls can sit in the sunshine. I'll go make a video at the other side of the car park where there won't be anybody and where we won't look weird. Now, I won't show you it, but as soon as I've parked up, empty car park, no reason for anybody coming up here. Trust me, it's a dead end, and it's the other end of the world compared to like where anyone would be going. 2 cars pulled in, and I'm thinking, a bit suspicious. But yeah, I mean, it's clearly, I don't want to say what it is, but it's clearly a man in one car, a woman in another car, and they're meeting at the other end of the car park, and the woman has got into the man's car. Maybe it's a car sharing thing, but they haven't got out of the car. They've not drove off or anything like that. So I'm reading between the lines and wondering what that is. But here's me thinking I can get a nice little video done out of the way of people. They roll in straight away and ruin a video. I ended up stopping it and doing a different one. Then some bloody learner's been driving around as well. It's like, I come to the other end of the car park so I don't look so weird talking to my phone, and it turns out it's weirder up here than it is anywhere else. So anyway, so what I want to talk about today, in fact, I'm worried about filming it now, just in case like I get their cars on the camera and then they get all annoyed because I've exposed what they're up to or something. But I actually wanted to film, like, I didn't want to sit in my car because it's kind of warm. So I'm just gonna not point them out, and I'm gonna assume that it's okay to film, because why would it not be? Right, so anyway, what I want to talk about in this, and there's the beast, by the way, is kind of, I want to talk a little bit about things like that, okay? So there's a couple of things been on my mind lately. One of which I've shared with a few people at the live event, but one of them was, and I've had it just recently on a YouTube comment. Somebody said, why would you, if you're what you say you are, Matt, why would you be living in the house you're living in? That's what I've actually had said to me. And like, that was on a YouTube comment, but I've had it said to me a couple of times before that as well. And I suppose the answer is, it's all about priorities. So obviously the house I'm living in, which, believe it or not, a few different people have actually talked about now. A few different people have said, like, what you're doing living in that house, what you're doing living in that house. So it's not just one person, and I'm a big believer, if one person says something, 10 other people at least thought it. And the fact that I've had 3 or 4 people say this now in the last month or so, or last couple of months or so, it makes me think that probably a lot of people are saying it, or a lot of people are thinking it. Got someone walking a dog here now. Jesus, what is wrong with this bit of the car park? There's absolutely no reason for anyone to come up here, look. This guy's walking a dog. I mean, he's perfectly entitled to, but here I come for a bit of quiet. And that is the least quiet area of the blooming car park I've ever seen. Having a bit of a, just having a look. So anyway, it's really distracting. I'm not used to this. You know, when you're just trying to do a content video and then there's everyone around, it does take some adjusting. I think if you're a vlogger and you do vlogs every day, you quickly get over it. But because I'm not really a vlogger and I don't do many vlogs, like, I never quite get used to people being around and listening and looking. And I mean, it's just wandered off. I think maybe because I'm pointing my camera this way and it's to nothing. Like, I think maybe he thought I was taking an interesting photo and he wanted to see what it was. So he had a look. And he had proper good look over here, see what I was looking at. No, just doing a video, bro. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, I've had a few people talk about like, why are you living in that house, Matt? Why are you living in that house? if like you doing what you say you do. And what I was saying is it's a matter of priorities. So like, for one, I mean, to answer that question, I don't need to defend myself. My house is my house, whatever. And I could have, honestly, where I grew up, you guys might have seen it, but the house I grew up in, I could have only dreamed to live in a house like the house I'm in now, back when I was growing up. But like, the bottom line is, I bought that house cash, and I bought it something like 10, 11 years ago. So I was only like 27 or something at the time when I bought that house, and I bought it cash. This is a council estate kid that come from a 2-bed terraced house on a council estate, a rough council estate, and I actually slept in the dining room downstairs so I could have my own bedroom, not the whole time, but as I got older. So to go from the dining room, which was a tiny little box room really, but to go from the dining room of my mum and dad's 2-bed terraced on a council estate to buying my own house cash at 27, and it's a 4-bed detached with a double garage, I'd say that's a pretty good achievement. But at the same time, I do see where you guys are coming from. But I mean, no mortgage, 27 years old, buying a 4-bed detached with a double garage. A lot of people would die to live in a house like that. But the fact that people bring it up, I'm not blaming them, and I'm not saying they're wrong to think that or feel that. At the end of the day, you've got preconceptions about what a millionaire or what somebody doing 6 figures or whatever you see me as, but you've got preconceptions of what I should be doing and what I am doing and things like that, and I get that, and I don't blame you for it. If I look like I'm blaming you for it, I'm not. I'm just squinting because of the sun. But like, the thing is, when I started this channel, I had a BMW i8, so I think that went a long way to establishing credibility. Because obviously the BMW i8, brand new, they're about £105,000, something like that, which is about, I'm guessing about, in the US, probably $135,000, $140,000, something like that. So it's an expensive car, and it was an instant credibility booster, and people probably thought, well, yeah, fair enough, the house, but look at his car. You know, you could buy a house with the car price, so he's the real deal. But now, they probably look at this car right here and think, I don't know, see my house and think, well, I don't know, there's an incongruence. And like I say, I don't blame anybody for that. But I mean, I should stay, and I'm not bragging at all. This is a lease car. At the end of the day, if you've got something like £350, so what's that? Near enough $500 a month, you can have a car like this. But this is a £40,000, £45,000 car. So it's not a cheap car. But people don't look at it like it's anything spectacular like they did the i8. So I think there's an incongruence with what comes out my mouth for some people, and the way they think I should live, and the way I do live. So they think I should be living like a millionaire, and whatever that means. But in reality, like, one of the richest people I know in the town I live, and it's a working class town, it's not filled with rich people, but one of the richest people I know, he drives around in a right banger, he wears normal clothes, like, there's nothing spectacularly over the top about him, but he's like got 100 houses paid off cash that he rents out. And that was last time I spoke to him, like a long time ago, to be honest. But he'll have presumably way more than 100 houses now paid for cash. But that guy's doing all right for himself. Just in assets alone, he's going to have a big bunch of assets. But regardless of assets, the cash flow from 100 houses or 100 properties, some big, some small, whatever, but the cash flow would be unreal. So, like, he doesn't drive around in fancy cars or, as far as I'm aware, live in fancy houses or anything like that. He's very modest. In fact, the people that work for him have even said, like, he's quite modest and stuff. But I think, like, poor people... Oh, God, we've got a new audience here. What is that? I think poor people think that rich people live a certain way. And the bottom line is, I mean, maybe they do. Maybe you know, I don't know that many rich people, to be honest, because of where I live. But like, I think poor people expect rich people to live a certain way. And again, I don't think I'm rich. I don't consider myself rich yet. I'm on a journey, I'm on a mission just like you guys are. Maybe I'm a little bit further forward, maybe I'm a little bit further behind than you, but I'm on the same mission as you. I want to make a lot of money, as most of the viewers do. But like, you kind of expect people to live a certain way, and when they don't live that way, it causes that little disconnect in the brain. But like going back to the comment that I just recently received on YouTube, and like this is just a couple of days ago, and a few other people have said it, like I say, all I would say is I bought my house when I was 27 cash, and that was a house that I could have lived in, or I could live in, and I still live in, but I could live in and bring up a family in for the rest of my life. And the way I saw it at the time was, even if everything else goes wrong, I've still got my house. And that, you know, that was how I saw it. And like I say, I could live to the end of time, or end of my time in that house, and, you know, be comfortable. It's a nice house. It's a big enough house for me. But I mean, as much as that's what I did 10, 11 years ago, I do have an intention of moving. So, you know, I'm not going to live there forever. If I did have to live there forever, I probably would go a bit like, is that it? Because I've got plans to live in a mansion and stuff, you know, and I want properties around the world that I live in, and I can go in, you know, different times a year. I can go where it's sunny, so maybe a property in Dubai, maybe a property in south of France. You know, I do want all that stuff. So don't think that this is me saying that I'm settling for that house. I'm not. You know, my intention is to get a new house. But remember, I bought that 10, 11 years ago when I was 27 years old, you know, and paid cash for it, and I was a council estate kid. But beyond that, also, it's all about priorities. So, like, what I did is I decided to buy properties with my money. So, a big chunk of the money I've made, I've put into properties. So it's not the house I live in, but it's residential properties that I rent out. So somebody might go, well, why is he not living in a mansion? Why isn't he not living in a mansion? And then it causes that disconnect. But the bottom line is, you know, I've got I won't say a lot, but I've got a lot of my funds. Yeah, that's fair to say. I was going to say a lot of money in it, because in the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot of money, but I've got a lot of my money tied up in property, and that property is rental property. So I generate an income from that rental property. So I could have gone, right, I'm going to buy a £2 million house, or even got a mortgage, you know, and bought a £5 million house and had this crazy massive mortgage over my head. Or I could do what I did, which is plonk a chunk of my money into a house, you know, buy a house for me to live in, you know, so it's paid off cash and that's sorted, and then put the rest of the money in something that's going to be a cash flowing asset. So I've not put all my money into property, but I've put a big portion of it into property. So I've got houses and commercial property, but I've got houses that I rent out and they make me money. So poor person goes, why aren't you living in a big expensive house? Rich person goes, because he's bought some properties that are going to make him richer. You know, rich person says he's got some cash flowing assets out of the deal, not just a big liability or a big expensive house around his neck. So am I going to move at some point? Yes, of course I am. You know, do I want to live in a nicer house, a bigger house? Yeah, of course I do. But the bottom line is, I chose to buy I chose to buy cash flowing properties instead. Now, I do splash out every now and again. Like I say, this is probably an unnecessary car. As much as it might not be the most expensive of cars, it's still a very nice car. Now, I probably shouldn't be showing it you right now because it's kind of mucky. It's got loads of flies on it. I went to drive yesterday, but I mean, that is a nice motor. That's a nice motor, that is. I mean, look at it. Like I say, it's got flies on the front of it, but that is a gorgeous car. It's a E-Class AMG line. Yeah, what do you call it? I don't know if they call it Polar White or Arctic White or something like that. It's got the night pack on it, so it's got black windows, and when you get inside, it all glows up and stuff. That's a nice car by anyone's standards, but maybe it's not nice enough that somebody would go, oh, that guy's doing all right for himself. You know, maybe it's not quite good enough for that. The i8 was, this one's not. Again, watch this space. Things change. I'm not done. I'm not finished. You know, at some point in the near future, maybe, or in the future, I'm going to get a new car. At some point in the future, I'm going to get a new house. So just suspend disbelief. If you think that somebody should live a certain way and have certain assets, all I should say is suspend disbelief and obviously you're right to do your due diligence on somebody, or not due diligence, you're right to question what people tell you, of course, but at the same time, you know, understand that priorities are different for different people. Some people prefer holidays, or vacations if you're in the US. Some people prefer cars, some people prefer properties, some people prefer to spend it all on assets, some people like handbags and shoes and stuff. But just because somebody's not overtly displaying massive amounts of wealth doesn't mean that they're not generating a nice income for themselves and a very, very comfortable income, or it doesn't mean they're not doing what they say they're doing, because they could be buying properties left, right and centre with buy-to-let mortgages and things like that. They could be doing all kinds of crazy stuff you don't even realise, rather than blowing their money. Anyway, so I should probably wrap this video up here because it's a bit of a long one, and I bet the sun's now on I bet it's come round onto Starbucks front, which will be cool. They're still in them cars, by the way, so I can only wonder.